When animatedly walking my partner through the reading list at the start of term, I misspoke and called the module Narratives of Nurture. I laughed, he laughed, and then the conversation moved on. I'm thinking back on this moment now that we've come to the end of term, and I'm realising that perhaps it was more of a Freudian slip, for I find myself considering the natural world with new eyes, and where I once felt resignation to the rapid anthropogenic changes rocking the earth, I am now filled with a verve for change. The question from week 1 that has followed us throughout this learning, what is nature, is one that I'll continue to consider as my reading furthers. Before, I fell into the box of imagining nature in terms of fairy tale forests and lush greenery, as opposed to being non-human trappings, or even the slow melding of the human and non-human world, as we continue to scar our planet. In his essay, As Clear as Water, from the essay collection Demon Voices, Philip Pullman considers that there's no imagery in fairy tales apart from the most obvious. As white as snow, as red as blood, that's about it. Nor is there any close description of the natural world or of individuals. Of course, here he is discussing the simplicity and moralistic nature of fairy tales, but in applying this lesson to other media, I think that nature writing can work in similar ways, simplifying nature for mass consumption. It's why the discovery of new nature writing and the poetry of Norman Nicholson was instrumental in shaping my conceptions of nature. His mixing of rural imagery and the industrial world allowed me to see the beauty of both. Take these lines from On Dudding Marsh. Blown wool as dry as baccy, tins glint in the sedge with not a sight of man. The fact he is not unafraid to make these descriptions unpalatable is impressive. He helped me see how we cannot separate ourselves from nature. We shape it every day with our actions. We are nature. The group that worked on Donna Haraway in Nature Culture in Assessment 1 helped me to make the link between the ontological divide between nature and culture and the human and non-human, and whilst my friends covered Descartes, took a more philosophical approach to the idea that nature and human cannot be separated. It also showed me that biophilia is not enough. We're complicit in the state of the world. It's for this reason I decided to go litter picking as often as I could. Paul J. Crutzen and the Anthropocene were also instrumental in me being more proactive with my eco-criticism and personal connection to the non-human world. He battled for decades to warn world powers of the depletion of the ozone, and we may not have many decades left before anthropogenic changes become irreversible. The day that I saw the otters playing in the Water of Leith was magical. I remember after they'd indulged us for a while and moved on, I commented that our water is so clean and beautiful. Then I saw plastic bottles bobbing in the swell, irritatingly out of reach. The juxtaposition of such a rare sight as the otters and the common but ignored sight of the plastic really got to me, especially after watching Ramin Barani's Plastic Bag. It was both hilarious and heartbreaking, and again, the juxtaposition of the bittersweet bag character that Werner Herzog embodies with the horrific visual of the bag's journey from store to sea is incredible. When the bag says, "I wish you had created me so that I could die," I both laughed and cried. The decision to make a photo diary and a visual reflective essay is because the changes in the environment happen so fast. For sure, if I take this same litter picking route tomorrow, I would find more rubbish, and the state of that which we can't reach is also changing every day as plastic and undergrowth become one. When I watched Wall-E, my focus was on the geological aspect of environmental change, but one of my group for the first assessment, Natasha, made the point that the fact that the remaining space colonies of humans are predominantly white struck me. Her point about the inequality in who got to live, and the fact that it's not those who cause the damage that suffer, and it's everybody else, really got to me as well. The power structure is skewed. I find it ironic Disney pushes environmental message when their goal is money and influence, like those who destroyed the earth in Wall-E. The fact that we take so many meanings from the media we consume is why I wanted to attempt creative non-fiction. I hadn't tried it before, but sightlines was very important to me. As essayist Laura Severin states, that Jamie's journey has led her to an activist, often multimedia poetic, both environmentalist and feminist in nature, which attempts to change our perception of the natural at the same time that it advocates for the importance of local environmental activism. We can see this in effect in Sightlines, where her nature writing encapsulates a more scientific view whilst making each of her tales personal and connected to nature, which is everywhere. Consider, she says, the atoms of you have been fizzing around for a bit less than 5 billion years, but soon enough they'll go fizzing off again into the grasses and whatever. Jamie's scientific acumen and her beautiful writing and wry wit make her a nature writer to emulate. I very much look forward to taking these lessons forward in my life and writing career. Thank you so much.